first time you felt it? Maybe you were 18, riding shotgun in your buddy's rusted out Integra GSR. Maybe you were merging onto the highway in a Civic Si, foot to the floor, waiting for the magic number. And then it happened. 3,500 RPM on the dash, a mechanical thunk from under the hood, and suddenly the engine transformed. The exhaust note went from sewing machine to Formula One. The car lunged forward like it had been holding its breath and finally exhaled. That was VTEC. And that moment, that specific, mechanical, violent switch, is gone. Not because Honda killed it, not because of a conspiracy in the boardroom, but because the world changed, and the technology that defined an era of Japanese performance had to evolve or die. This is the story of how VTEC went from being the soul of Honda to being just another line item in a brochure. To understand what we lost, you have to understand what VTEC actually was. Variable valve timing and lift electronic control wasn't just marketing fluff, it was a physical, mechanical cheat code. Most engines have one camshaft profile, one shape of the lobes that push the valves open. That shape is a compromise. Make it mild for low RPM torque and fuel economy, and you suffocate the engine at high RPM. Make it aggressive for high RPM power, and the engine idles like a tractor and gets terrible gas mileage. Honda's solution was elegantly violent. 2 cam profiles, one mild, one wild. Below a set RPM, usually around 3,000 to 5,000 depending on the engine, a set of rocker arms rode on the mild cam, keeping things civilized. But when the computer decided you were serious, it sent oil pressure to a pin that locked those rockers together. Suddenly the valves were being opened by the aggressive cam. Lift increased. Duration increased. The engine's volumetric efficiency skyrocketed. That thunk you felt, that was the sound of metal engaging metal. It wasn't electronic, it wasn't simulated, it was a physical handoff between Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And in the 1990s and 2000s, this defined Honda. The B18C5 in the Integra Type R, the K20A2 in the RSX Type S, the F20C in the S2000 screaming to 9,000 RPM. These weren't just engines, they were personality tests. If you wanted the power, you had to work for it. You had to downshift. You had to keep the needle above 6,000. You had to drive. But here is the engineering reality that nostalgia won't fix. The VTEC switch was a band-aid for a problem that doesn't exist anymore. That problem was called torque, or rather, the lack of it. Those high-revving, naturally aspirated engines made all their power at the top end. A B-Series VTEC motor might make 170 horsepower, but below 5,000 RPM, it had the torque of a lawnmower. In the 1990s, that was fine. Gas was cheap, emissions testing was rudimentary, and the driving public hadn't yet been spoiled by the instant shove of a turbocharger. Then the world changed. By 2010, fuel economy standards were tightening globally. Customers were demanding torque down low, passing power at highway speeds, without having to downshift 2 gears and scream to the red line, and turbocharging technology had matured. Small, direct injection turbo engines could make 200 lb-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM, something a naturally aspirated Honda engine couldn't match without displacing 3.5 liters and failing every emissions test on the planet. So Honda did what every automaker did, they went turbo. Enter the L15B7, the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine that now powers the Civic, the CR-V, and half of Honda's global lineup. It makes 180 horsepower and 177 lb-ft of torque at 1,900 RPM. It is, objectively, a better engine for 99% of driving. It's faster in the real world, it's more fuel efficient, it produces fewer emissions, but it doesn't have a switch. It doesn't have that moment. Because turbochargers don't need VTEC to make power down low, the exhaust gas is already spinning a turbine that's forcing air into the cylinders. You don't need a wild cam profile to gulp air at high RPM when you've got a snail stuffing it in at low RPM. Now here is the part that most VTEC is dead narratives get wrong. VTEC never actually left. Honda just changed what it was for. Look at the current Civic Type R. The K20C1 under that hood still has VTEC. It still has that mechanical switch on the intake cam, but it's different. The turbo is doing the heavy lifting for torque, so the VTEC engagement is no longer a dramatic Jekyll and Hyde transformation. It's a refinement, a cam profile optimized for high RPM breathing to squeeze out those last 30 horsepower at the top end. The kick is gone because the engine is already angry. It's like adding nitrous to a car that's already fast. The gain is marginal, not transformative. Meanwhile, in economy cars, VTEC evolved into VTEC Turbo, a system that uses variable timing on the exhaust side to reduce turbo lag and improve efficiency. It's brilliant engineering, it's invisible, and that's the problem. The old VTEC was the event, the new VTEC is a background process. And that shift, from mechanical theater to invisible efficiency, is what feels like death to enthusiasts. But there is another layer here, one that involves the specific sound of those old engines. The B-Series and K-Series motors were designed to breathe at high RPM. Long intake runners, high compression, aggressive cam profiles. That meant they had a specific harmonic signature, a raw metallic shriek that modern turbo engines, with their muffling turbos and direct injection clatter, simply cannot replicate. When Honda switched to turbo, they didn't just lose the VTEC switch, they lost the voice. The 10th generation Civic Si, with its 1.5T, is faster than the old 8th generation Si with its K20 Z3. It's more efficient, it's probably more reliable, but it sounds like a vacuum cleaner. The old car sounded like it was trying to escape its own body. That emotional connection, the feeling that the engine was alive and fighting, is what disappeared. So why didn't Honda just keep making the old engines for enthusiasts? Why not a K20A in the Civic Si forever? Because of fleet averages. Just like Stellantis couldn't afford to keep the Hemi, Honda couldn't afford to keep high-revving, large displacement, naturally aspirated engines in their lineup. Every gallon of fuel those engines burn raises the corporate average. Every gram of CO2 they emit requires an offset somewhere else. In a world where Honda is selling millions of CR-Vs and Accords, they can't afford to have a halo engine that drags down their CAFE score. It's the same math that killed the Hemi and just with smaller numbers. But here is where Honda's story diverges from Dodge's. Dodge killed the Hemi with a Viking funeral, last call editions, special paint, tearful goodbyes. Honda didn't kill VTEC, they just stopped talking about it. They let it fade into the background, evolving from a party trick into a fuel-saving measure, and that might actually be worse. Because at least when something dies, you can mourn it. When it becomes a ghost of itself, when the badge is still there but the soul is gone, you're left with a kind of uncanny valley. You open the hood of a new Civic and see VTEC stamped on the cam cover, but you drive it and wait for the kick that never comes. It's like meeting an old friend who has the same face but a completely different personality. Now, there is a small light at the end of this tunnel. Honda is not stupid. They know what they built. They know that the K-Series engine in the Integra Type R is still one of the greatest four-cylinders ever made. And they know that enthusiasts are starting to push back against the turbo everything era. That is why the new Integra Type S exists. That is why the Civic Type R still revs to 7,000 RPM in a world where most turbo engines give up at 6,500. Honda is trying to thread the needle, using the turbo for torque, using the VTEC for high RPM character. It's not the same, it will never be the same, but it's an acknowledgement that efficiency alone doesn't build loyalty. And there is another factor, electrification. Ironically, the rise of electric cars might save the high-revving internal combustion engine, not as a mass-market solution, but as a niche product. When 90% of Honda's lineup is electric, they won't need to worry about fleet averages for the remaining 10%. That 10% can be special, it can be the S2000 successor, it can be a new Integra with a K24 that screams to 8,500 RPM. The regulations that killed the old VTEC might, paradoxically, create a safe space for a new generation of high-revving engines as low-volume halo cars. But until then, we are in the in-between. The VTEC, you remember? The mechanical switch that defined a generation of tuners? The VTEC just kicked in meme? The specific feeling of a B-series crossing into the power band. That VTEC is gone. It died, not with a bang, but with a software update. It was replaced by turbochargers that are better in every measurable way, and worse in every way that matters to the heart. So the next time someone tells you Honda killed VTEC, correct them. They didn't kill it, they promoted it. They turned the rebel into the accountant, the rock star into the sound engineer. And maybe, just maybe, if we're lucky, the rebel will get a reunion tour someday. Drop a comment. Would you rather have a 2006 Civic Si with the K20 that screams to 8,000 RPM but makes 197 horsepower? Or a 2024 Civic Si with the 1.5T that makes 200 horsepower at 2,000 RPM but sounds like a dishwasher? And what's your favorite VTEC engine of all time? B18, K20, F20C, or something else? If you're new here, subscribe. We dig into the engineering behind the emotion. I'll see you in the next one.